Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. You're in the midst of greatest transformation. And I want to remind you that you're being prepared for something big in your life. So get ready, my friends. Get ready. Your pure heart is meant to guide you. Do you know that? Your pure heart is meant to guide you, not to be blocked and poisoned with all the traumas and painful experiences you've been through. So I call traumas masked teachers of wisdom and not dictators of righteousness. So that's something we need to remind ourselves, because we've all been through something heavy. For some people it was much harder, and for other people it was maybe easier or more pleasant. But the truth is, people who went through the hardest possible traumatic experiences are meant to be the greatest possible leaders. Because we grow the most when we move through pain. And that's something that we need to remind ourselves every time we are being hurt. So I want to remind you today. Firstly, just the fact that you're becoming aware of these things, that you're becoming aware of the traumas you've been through. It means that you're transforming pain into process, right? That's like a moment where a caterpillar slowly becomes a butterfly. But in between, it goes through a great chaos. On biological perspective, cells in the caterpillar goes through such a chaotic process that on the outlook it looks like the caterpillar is dying. But at the same time it is giving birth to a butterfly, and that's what's happening to most people right now. So I want to remind you, when you're moving through that process, don't be defined by your past, but rather by what you choose to do with the memories and how much you're willing to expand your knowledge about your potentials. So the thing is, nobody can tell you what are your potentials. But as you see how your life is evolving, how you're growing, and in what kind of direction you naturally feel called to go or to move, you will notice that there's many potentials to be explored. And as same as I'm exploring my potentials in self-expression, in art, and in what's possible with all of that, you may feel called to do something similar. Not like how I'm doing, but in your unique way. Pay close attention to how could you use what you've been through in the past as a fuel to find your greatest potentials. So what I mean by that, every time we go through something that usually we think nobody else went through, it means that the universe put us into those experiences so we would be able to teach or guide or lead or heal people who don't know how to deal with that, right? Who are still blinded by the pain. And that's something truly important to recognize. And many of us have been put in certain situations that on the mental level we can't explain the reasons why, right? And it's hard to understand why it happened. But on a deeper level, like if we would step outside of that mental observation, like from a perspective of a higher self or a greater awareness, we would not question the meaning. We would just know this needed to happen. So it brought me to the right knowledge, to the right awareness, and to understanding how pain feels like, how depression feels like, how anxiousness feels like. And the reason you feel it is the reason that you find a solution to move through it, that you learn to embrace it. And it's not easy. That's why we move through ups and downs and through failures. So one day we recognize how to embrace something that felt so heavy and so hard. and how to overcome something that felt impossible to heal, right? And once we recognize that, we are on a quest of a mission. We start walking a path of a mission. So you become a sort of like a missionary, right? And you know, whatever you are moving through right now, you are in the midst of the greatest possible transformation. Then there comes a reminder that emotional healing is not something that would be good for us. It's something that is necessary for the human evolution. And you know, whatever we've been through caused us to be emotionally wounded, which means that when we've been exposed to certain shameful experience, a part of us starts protecting ourselves so we would not experience it again. And it's a great natural mechanism, but at the same time, it blocks our evolution. It doesn't help us to grow and expand. So we need to evolve our sense of awareness, to recognize the emotional wounds, to recognize where we feel wounded, where we feel empty within. What is causing it so we feel that way, right? And that's an emotional wound. Some call it shadow work, some call it emotional healing. And however we choose to call it, the sense of awareness that we recognize that we are not who we are meant to be because we are maybe afraid or feeling blocked to do what we want to do. You know, for example, when you have a dream, like you want to do that, but at the same time you experience a strong fear. And if you go deeper into the fear, you will find reasons from that critical thinking why you can't do it or why you shouldn't do it. And those reasons are not real, they are coming from your emotional wounds. Something happened in the past that imprinted those reasons into you. Why you shouldn't express yourself, why you shouldn't open your heart. But the thing is that the world is changing and you are changing and your awareness is expanding. Therefore, you're able to see yourself from a greater perspective, which means that whatever you are afraid of, there's a part of you that can embrace that sensation and move through the painful experience with a greater sense of compassion. And it will help you to do the things that before you thought it's not possible. Now, rather than reacting to that critical thinking, to that critical voice, you can develop a sense of compassion and understanding of it because it has its reasons. But even though it has its reasons to block you, you can still make a deal with it and do it in your own way, right? That's what it means to have a great relationship towards yourself, to be kind towards yourself, to listen to yourself, observe yourself, be compassionate towards yourself, but still follow the dreams and goals that you have and see what will happen if you move through what felt unpleasant before, right? Can you do it? Write in the comments below if you feel that you can do it. And that is bringing us to a truly important realization. Albert Einstein once said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And that's actually so powerful because often we may wait for science to give us proofs how powerful we are. But there's often just the opposite of what happens. Some exceptional people do something exceptional, something new, something big, and suddenly science find them as really interesting individuals, and they start researching them, and they find out that we all can do it. Like, for example, Wim Hof. what Wim Hof is doing. You know, the ability to spend a lot of time under the ice cold water, and his breathing method, for example. Those are the things that before science thought that may hurt us. Going into the cold water, you can die, right? But with a great approach and great self-awareness, it can have healing effects on your body. So that's another explanation that we can't know our greatest potentials. That's why we need to expand our imagination and recognize, to imagine what else is possible. That's what can bring new knowledge to this world. Imagine what else is possible for you. And we all have this natural inner mechanism, this inner compass that is guiding us, all of us. It is guiding us into our own unique direction, so we would discover our own greatest potentials. So always use your imagination to design your life the way that is resonating with you the most. And that's why it's so important to know everything we've been talking until now. Often our emotional wounds are not allowing us to do what we imagine that we want to do. Because our behaviors are reflecting our emotional state, right? And if we don't deal with those emotions, if we don't learn to embrace what we feel and do what deep inside we know that we need to do, we'll never get to where we want to be. So use your imagination for designing your life, your vision for the future, your future self, who you see yourself that you can be, how that future version of you is acting, behaving, walking, what's your facial expression, what's your diet, what's your mental diet. Right? Think about it. So powerful. Imagination is so incredible, because I'm always amazed by it, because sometimes I start working on a painting, I have a vision or an idea for it, and then I start working on the painting, and when I'm observing the process, I recognize so many new ideas coming in out of nowhere, and it gives me that interesting sensation of amazement, like how incredible our mind is when we are willingly opening it, right? And that's why this quote is so powerful. Imagination is more important than knowledge, because knowledge can, it can bring us from A to B or A to Z, but imagination will bring us to where we never thought that it's possible for us to be. And that's something truly powerful. And when we look around us onto the world, we see that we need more people who know how to use their imagination in that positive way, right? So pay attention to it. And I want to give you here the last reminder. I want to remind you here that often when people think that they will only take action when they feel motivated, do you feel like that sometimes? Like you will only follow your goals and dreams when you will feel motivated. So you start seeking motivation on the internet, on YouTube, on social media. And sometimes it works, and you watch a video and you feel motivated, and then you do that workout, or you take some next steps towards that project that you're working on. But then you find yourself feeling lack of motivation and lack of productive energy, and suddenly you don't do anything. So often it happens for people that they start a certain project when they feel motivated, but then they never finish it because they say, well, I was not motivated anymore to do it. Because there's a misunderstanding when it comes to motivation. Motivation is, more than anything else, a byproduct of taking the right action, right? In neuroscience, scientists would say every time you take the right action, you increase the level of dopamine in your brain, which gives you that good feeling of pleasure, of motivation, of drive, of satisfaction. But if you're overdoing it, you will not be able to reach a higher level of dopamine, so suddenly you will feel unmotivated. Suddenly you will notice that nothing else inspires you or motivates you. That's why when you hear a truly great song that inspires you and motivates you, it has its effect on your brain and it moves you. But if you hear it 10 times or 20 times, it will not have the same effect anymore. So it's important to understand that it's time for action and it's time for rejuvenation, because nature is all about balance. So if we understand that motivation is the byproduct of taking the right action, then after taking the right action, the best act is to rejuvenate, right? To reflect on what we've created, to see what we could change, to see what we could improve. Take a moment to reflect on what you want to do for your future, like what you want to do for your future self, and where you're willing to start. Not when, but where you're willing to start. Like if you have that idea that you want to create a YouTube channel where you will share your insights or whatever it is, a great way to start is to create a YouTube channel, right? To make an account and put in a profile picture and make a name and so on. And then the next step is to make a plan. What kind of videos you will start making? What will be the first video? What will be the topic of the first video? How it will be filmed and produced? What will be, the style of the video? We need to figure those things out. If we don't have clarity over it, we will never start. And once you make that first video, you can then take a moment of reflection and rejuvenate a little bit. Don't rush too hard on things, because everything takes its time. We need to develop a sense of being patient, right? You can observe water in nature. It can reshape the rocks in a great amount of time, right? So everything will work out for you. But things need time. And the universe is teaching you to be patient. And the greatest way to train ourselves to be patient is to learn to be okay with resting. Learn to be okay with doing nothing. As much as we are following our goals and dreams, also follow your plan for rejuvenation. Spend more time in nature. Make a plan where to start, but also make a plan how will you rejuvenate your soul. And take actions for both of those two different plans. And at the end of your day, reward yourself with gratitude for baby steps towards where you want it to be. Because no reward is more powerful for your system, for body and for your soul, as well as for your mind. Nothing is more powerful than a sense of gratitude. So work on it. And I know often we hear it like, be grateful. But truly, when we practice feeling gratitude, feeling the energy of gratitude in our daily life, or especially when we finish our days, we'll sleep better, we'll feel better, and because we sleep better, we feel better, and because we feel better, we are more creative, and because we are more creative, we have greater ideas, and because we have greater ideas, we'll take greater action, and because we'll take greater action, we'll create greater results. And that's something amazing to share with others. When you create, maybe make more money or better relationships, that's a lot of knowledge in in moving through those experiences. There's a lot of knowledge to share with others. So it's not about having more, but maybe knowing more or being more aware. So my friends, I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting and message. I hope you found some value in it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it, and thanks to all of you for supporting my art in my Etsy shop. I Draw My Passion. You're all truly appreciated. Till next time, one love.